Welcome. What a pleasure to have you all in sacred space with me today. I am always so happy to spend this time with you. Always something happens for me when I know I'm meeting with people regularly. It allows me an opportunity to be in spiritual receptivity, to really kind of wait for spirit to tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, this is what you're talking about this week. And one of the things that I really love is being able to be that spontaneous, because like I said, it makes me open up and invite myself to pay attention. And so I want to kind of engage you guys in the same practice, in just noticing if there's a spiritual theme to your life, if there's something in particular that's going on for you right now, if spirit is bringing something in the way of a message or those kind of little scratchy inklings that we get that tell us we should be doing something. So the thing that keeps getting put in front of me right now is the topic of paradox. And we talked just briefly about paradox last week, but I want to really kind of drop into it a little bit today, because it's a powerful concept. Paradox is a powerful concept, especially with what's going on in the world around us right now. So paradox says it is possible for us to hold two ideas at the same time when those are conflicting ideas, when those ideas conflict with one another. So an example of that could be life or death. An example of that could be, in your spiritual world, could be, I really believe in the divine that resides within me. And when I pray, I'm most comfortable praying to the divine that is outside and around me. That's kind of a paradox, isn't it? So these paradoxes come up for us, and we have a way as human beings, and specifically in our Western culture, we have a way of determining that it's an either or kind of situation, that we are either going to do one thing or we're going to do another thing. And some of us have an and conversation. Well, what if it's this and that? But when we get into this and that, we don't usually come to any place of making choice. We just kind of, and means we're not going to really talk, I think, too much about it. It's just the way it is. There's two things. You think one way, I think another way. We don't have to really talk about it. Maybe I feel two things at one time. I don't really have to talk about it. And a lot of times we use the concept of and to avoid actually going down into the conversation and really looking at what paradox is. And the interesting thing is, in many spiritual traditions right now, we're in process of resolving duality. We're in that place where we're looking at how duality shows up in our lives, and we're resolving it, because to come to oneness, to come to our deepest place of interconnection, we have to resolve that. We have to resolve all the different things that are this or that for us. So if we use and, sometimes it takes us out of the spiritual practice we really need, which is to say, how do these two things go together? How do these two ideas line up? So I have a little bit of this going on for myself right now around the wars that are going on. I have one side of me that thinks, it's not okay that somebody pitched the first bomb. And I have the other side of me that says genocide is absolutely not okay with me. And then a piece in addition to that that says, we are in the 21st century. Are we not old enough and wise enough and smart enough and been on the planet long enough to have figured out how to resolve our problems without blowing each other up? Can we not figure this out? So seeing that kind of response in myself to what's in the headlines, noticing where I drop out, the subject of paradox keeps coming back. because this place of making spiritual choice is important. So I want to ask you to just think for a minute if you can identify a place where you have conflicting ideas. Maybe you have conflicting ideas about something that goes on in your household. Maybe you have conflicting ideas about something in your work. I wish it was this way and I wish it was that way. I have conflicting ideas about travel. Love to travel and really love to cuddle in and stay home. So I'm on either side. I pull a little bit up against myself, but I want you to just see if you can identify a place in you. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic issue, just some place where your ideas conflict and you kind of just let them be there. Don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. Don't really try and resolve it because it's just something that's undecided. And just put your hand up if you have something. I just want to see. Okay. Looks like almost everybody. There you go. I see you, Ken. Okay. That's everybody. Deb, I'm trusting you because I can't see you, but you're in my awareness. So I'm just going to keep mentioning that you're here and we're pulling you in. So I'm going to assume that you all have something. It looks like most of you do. And I want you to just hold that idea in front of you and close your eyes. Whatever that place of paradox is, let's begin by understanding that it's completely fine. That it really doesn't require you to make a choice right now. But this is an invitation first to be with the idea that you can hold conflicting ideas, that you can feel two ways at one time. It is entirely possible to feel love and fear. Some people will tell you that's not possible. It is entirely possible to feel love and fear. It is entirely possible to hold joy and sorrow in the same breaths, because we are very broad, wide-reaching, energetically expansive human beings. So I want to invite you to just notice your breath, to allow yourself to settle comfortably in your own skin. And for just this short time that we're together, to allow yourself to be safe in the paradox of life. To know that no decision has to be made right now. To know that you are in safe space, that your body is breathing well and settled in, that your surroundings are safe, that you are held and blessed by the holy, and that you are also the holy expressing. The hands, the heart, the living breath, the inspiration and exhalation of the divine. And allow that to be as it is. Allow yourself to be that which is divine. There is one being interconnected through all of life. And yet, there are many of us here today. We are one expression and many expressions, all bringing forth divine ideas, divine ways of moving through life. So I want you to imagine in front of you just a couple little threads on the table. It can be whatever color you like, 3, 4, a couple of them, but see them laying out on the table. You might see them or sense them or feel them or simply know that they're in front of you. Just notice kind of embroidery threads for those of you who embroider. But it doesn't really matter. You could see it as any kind of thread, any kind of color. Notice that they slide together. And as they slide together, that they begin to cross. And they begin to weave. And they begin to form patterns. You don't have to do it with your mind. It simply happens in front of you. These things remain separate, and yet they are one. And together, as they weave, they create a pattern. They create a fabric. They create something tangible that can be used to create something new. None of them are the same. And just notice how that happens. And as you notice, think about the clothing that you're wearing. Think about the clothing that you're wearing that is a number of threads, different from one another, and yet united in a pattern, united in fabric, united and created from. Notice how that happens. Think about your couch. Think about the covering on your bed. Think about the panels of wood that are in the structure of your home or in the floor of your home. All independent, all singular and one, and yet all brought together. And as they come together, something solid and complete is formed. And no one questions whether they're alike, because those two things or four things or eight things come together to make one thing. And notice that within you, there are many different ideas about many things. And some of the ideas that you hold are remarkably different one from another, and yet they come together in the wholeness that is you. They come together to weave a third way of being that is a combination of those conflicting ideas. It's important to know this lesson. It's important to know that who you are does not have to be continuously in agreement, that the tension that is created from the differences in what we feel bring about your unique perspective on life. Just take a deep breath. And gently open your eyes. This is a very, very practical visualization tonight. It's a practical visualization because our world is changing quickly. We are in eclipse heaven right now. There are all kinds of things happening in the stars. There are all kinds of things happening on the planet. It's a full moon this weekend. There are all kinds of emotional things that we know scientifically happen for us when the moon is full. There's so much going on in the world around us, and we have many different ideas. Even just those of us on the screen, if we were to compare how we feel about our spirituality, how we feel about our politics, how we feel about what is right and wrong in our respective homes, we would find that we have many conflicting ideas, and yet we are one community holding all those ideas and weaving all those ideas into something connecting, something loving, something accepting that says difference is okay. Difference is good, as a matter of fact. Difference creates strength. In our world today, it's very important for us to notice that our different way of being gives us strength in the oneness that we are. It's very important for us to remember that we are one, regardless of our differing opinions. We are one human body, no matter who puts invisible lines anywhere. We are one human body on one planet, and many souls connecting, just like the fabric that we talked about. And through all of our ideas, something unifying is happening. And those of us that understand the technology, that understand what this spiritual technology means, that we can connect, that we can come together despite our differences. When we have that, we have the ability to put out into the consciousness, into our united consciousness, some very small understanding that what is happening can be resolved. If we choose to believe that we cannot hold the paradox, that we can't hold the tension of feeling differences in our own body, we will not be able to hold the tension, the differences that are in society right now. And we need to hold that, because something amazing is coming from this. And I know that sometimes we think about that something amazing and we imagine, oh, I can hear it. Ariana, come on, look at the big mess the world is in. I'm not suggesting we don't take action. We all have different things that we do when there is chaos, when there's difficulty. But what I am suggesting is that we hold a remembrance in our body, that we have around us an illusion of separation. And we are not separated. We are breathing the same air, drinking the same water, growing the same skin and fingernails, raising the same children, living across the same planet. And despite the differences in our various areas, we are connected by our very breath. So I invite you to think of paradox as something more than just two ideas that are different. To understand that we have many ideas in the body of the divine that are different, and yet we have the capacity and the capability to come together as the fabric of life in a powerful and healing way. And I invite you to just put your hand on your heart, put the other hand on top of it, and to take a deep breath and let our connection just settle in. Just know that we're whole, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like we are. To know that we're whole. And for those who have enough going on in their personal life that that's all they can think about right now, that's all you're supposed to think about. And for those who have a wider vision of what they can do in the world, great. We're whole. We have you. By our very breath, we hold you and support you. No matter where you are in the chaos that is our world right now, in this moment, let your heart have peace. Let the paradox of peace and chaos exist within you, and let it make you whole and bring you comfort. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for all of you, for this little bit of time together. So happy to see you. And I will be right back in this room next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. If it makes your heart sing, come and join me. I'll look forward to seeing you then.